This video was created by Danny Kessler, Associate Professor and Korea's first PhD in Wellness Tourism. Every year, millions of international travelers move through transit hubs like Incheon International Airport. Global destinations typically treat the resulting transit exhaustion as an unavoidable byproduct of travel, a logistical inconvenience to be endured in a departure lounge. That perspective ignores the physiological reality of the human body. Long-haul aviation actually induces a clinical state of physical trauma known as biometric basal degradation. The confined pressurization and rapid time zone displacement of a long flight cause deep circadian disruption. This scatters the body's peripheral clock genes and triggers intense systemic cortisol spikes. Before the traveler even clears immigration, their autonomic nervous system baselines have actively degraded. The body is in a state of high physiological stress. This predictable physiological decay creates a highly specific, captive market for architectural intervention. It allows developers to target the passenger's acute physical needs at the exact moment of arrival. Looking at this high-angle view of the terminal floor, you can see the immense scale of Incheon, pronounced Incheon, International Airport. This facility acts as the central node for millions of these biologically depleted travelers every year. To capture this demographic, developers engineered what we call the terminal radius ecosystem. This is a deliberate geographic zone designed to intercept passengers and convert layovers into 48 to 72-hour microstays. The success of this ecosystem relies on a strict temporal constraint. Destination engineering must intercept the traveler within a narrow 20-minute drive from the arrivals gate. If a facility requires a 60-minute transit into the capital city, the clinical-grade intervention efficacy is lost. The passenger's exhaustion overrides their willingness to travel, and the economic opportunity disperses. Korea prevents this dispersion by deploying spatial medicine infrastructure directly adjacent to the runway boundary, maintaining absolute proximity to the arrival gates. The gateway's commercial viability relies entirely on this geographic strictness. It positions a sophisticated architectural cure exactly where the acute biological need is highest. The first layer of this intervention sits on Yeongjong Island, pronounced Yeongjong-do. Here, integrated resorts utilize massive thermal baths and immersive media art spas. These specific environments are engineered to induce rapid vasodilation in arriving passengers. As the passenger enters this space, the intense thermal hydrotherapy forces their sympathetic nervous system to finally stand down. This creates a mechanical, biological reaction. The elevated heat expands the blood vessels, actively flushing cellular metabolic waste out of muscles depleted by 14 hours of high-altitude flight. Simultaneously, the curated audio-visual elements of the media art installations regulate cognitive sensory input, bringing the autonomic nervous system back to a stabilized baseline. By reversing the decay loop immediately upon arrival, Yeongjong Island functions as the physical triage layer of the gateway ecosystem. Across the bridge from the airport is the secondary node, the International Business District of Songdo, pronounced Songdo. While Yeongjong targets physical repair, Songdo specifically targets the high-yield international corporate transit passenger. Within this district, developers have embedded highly structured meditation environments directly into the corporate architecture. The clinical goal here moves past muscle recovery. These spaces are precisely calibrated to lower heart rate variability and reset executive cognitive function. Business travelers use these environments to achieve complete neurological re-anchoring, clearing mental fatigue before stepping on to their next international departure. By pairing physical triage at the airport with focused mental recovery in the business district, the architecture completes a holistic biological wellness loop. This biological realignment strategy triggers a shift in consumer behavior. By treating jet lag as a clinical-grade target requiring architectural intervention, the cluster effectively captures elite high-net-worth spending right at the peak of physical vulnerability. This visualization shows the flow logic. Instead of a standard 4-hour layover inside a departure terminal, the model incentivizes a 48 to 72-hour microstay. During these extended hours, economic yield multiplies across local spas and hotels, capturing maximum wellness revenue. This works because the external cluster provides a vital physiological cure that the concrete and glass of the transit terminal simply cannot offer. Incheon proves that when you map spatial architecture to human physiology, you can successfully monetize the inherent biological trauma of global travel. Any model built around international transit must account for a critical mechanism risk. Relying entirely on transit velocity to fund a local wellness economy introduces deep geographic vulnerability to global aviation shocks, fuel price spikes, and sudden border disruptions. If a cluster links its financial stability exclusively to exhausted international travelers, it inherits the macroeconomic volatility of the entire global aviation sector. When international flights are grounded, the captive market disappears. A sudden drop in passenger volume leaves massive specialized spa and hotel infrastructure empty and financially exposed. Without a balancing mechanism, a high-yield transit economy is structurally fragile, capable of collapsing the moment the global supply chain pauses. To mitigate this risk, Incheon utilizes a specific national framework, the Healing Tourism Industry Act, pronounced 𝗟𝗶𝗯𝗲𝗀𝗡. Under this legislation, the government issues formal certifications that elevate these transit spas into verified medical-grade wellness environments. These certifications allow the facilities to pivot. By proving their clinical value, the environments designed for foreign transit passengers become highly attractive destinations for high-net-worth local populations. When global aviation experiences a downturn, the domestic market steps in. Local demand buffers the local economy, keeping the infrastructure profitable until international routes reopen. This creates a dual market structural equilibrium. The specialized architecture flexes between international triage and domestic luxury. By combining clinical biology with specialized spatial architecture and national legislative policy, Incheon secures a wellness cluster with true year-round economic resilience. This video was created by Danny Kessler, Associate Professor and Korea's first PhD in Wellness Tourism.